Greetings, welcome back. My name is Jeff Long. We're here, episode 60, the beginning of 2023. Episode 60. Yes, that is episode 60, folks. We're making history. Here with my esteemed colleague, Ben Holloway. And we're here with one of our Rhode Island good buddies, Steve D'Angelo. I just met him today, but he's a good guy, swell guy. When you have a name D'Angelo, he's a good guy. What can we say? So, how are you guys doing?
Feeling pretty good. Thanks for having me.
There we go. Nice, nice. Benny boy, how you doing?
Yeah, things are good, man. Things are good. Always a
Nice.
good time talking sports.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. So tonight we're going to be discussing college football playoffs. Tom Brady and the Bucks. Ben, I know you're just eager to talk about that. NFC South and important matchups in week 18. But first, talk about a little bit. We know we're a sports podcast, but there's more to life than just sports and football. We definitely want to say a prayer for our friend. I don't want to butcher his name, Ben.
I got you. I'll find it. Yeah.
Okay. The Bills player whose name
last name is Hamlin. First, okay, there we go. Rhymes with Lamar. Damar Hamlin.
Yes, we want to be respectful to the man's name. Got to put some respect on it. But gentlemen, it was a very, very scary thing to watch. To see the man get up, make a tackle, and then fall to the ground. It's very scary. They made the right decision to not play the game. Skip Bayless is forever on my ish list for his tweet, being angry about that. Pretty crappy. He's a pretty cruddy individual. I didn't have much respect for him, but I definitely lost respect for him after that. But gentlemen, any opening thoughts? Steven, you first. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I actually texted Ben last night about that with that tweet, and I was like, if you read the last sentence, I think
let's shift focus. Forget the tweet. Talk about the man.
All right. Yeah, he's about his ratings, and I don't think he cares about.
No, get off of Skip. Talk about the guy, Hamlin.
Oh, Hamlin.
Get off of Skip.
He's. I mean, I didn't know anything about him until this happened, and then I started reading up on him. And he had a children's charity. He sounded like an incredible young man, 24 years old. And obviously we're praying, hoping the best for him. His charity shot up $4 million overnight for that children's charity, which is incredible. Shows the love and support people have for human life and him as a good human being. Obviously, his Bills teammates and the opposing Bengals team obviously they were all shook into their core. You don't see people crying on the football field often, and it was a pretty revolutionary thing we all witnessed last night. And everything I've heard about him is nothing but good things, and obviously I hope nothing but the best, good recovery, and just praying.
Yeah, no, true. Ben?
Yeah, I think Steve did a really good job there. I mean, you see, we watch these games because it's entertaining. We love football. We love to watch sports. But what we tend to forget sometimes, and it takes, unfortunately, something like this sometimes, is these people are human beings, just the same as the three of us are. And, prayers to him, his family, all of his teammates, and T. Higgins, of course, he's probably as a human being going to try and slap some blame on him. No, the guy, he made a tackle on you and this happened. So we wish nothing but the best to everyone involved. I want to kind of stress it that way because there's teammates, there's friends, there's family, T. Higgins, there's everybody. And we just hoping for the best like everybody else. But I just didn't want the focus. Of course, Hamlin is the biggest priority. It's him directly, but just the thousands and possibly even, thousands of people that this is impacting. So just kind of wishes for everybody, of course, with Hamlin as well.
Yeah, I think you gentlemen pretty much summed it up. But just real quick, before we get on to the college football playoffs, just want to take 3 minutes to talk about what does this do as far as the playoff race. There's both teams, positioning, right? It kind of a little bit of a quagmire. So, Stephen, like, what do we think as far as how this impacts the playoff race? Just like real quick for 30 seconds.
There are potentially huge implications if this game doesn't get finished. The Ravens have a shot now, maybe potentially. The AFC isn't as competitive right now for a 1C or a bye as the NFC, but the AFC still got some competitive teams, and this definitely shifts that realistic focus of who gets the buys. It doesn't seem that important anymore, honestly.
Yeah, no doubt. Ben, real quick, 30 seconds.
1, 2, 3. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think that the NFL is handling it the best that they can. It is in, very, very rare circumstance and unique circumstance. I think that the football will figure itself out. The human being is most important right now. If scheduling, seating, all of that, I think will ultimately work out the best that it can, but the human being is first priority right now.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, for sure. And I think that it's going to be, again, really praying for the guy. You really hate to see something like that happen. Again, his health and his overall health is the most important thing. Cardiac arrest, when you're talking about CPR, I mean, that's, man.
Football is not even for him. Football is not any priority right now.
But props to the medical staff for being so quick and being prepared. Like, we don't give enough credit to the paramedics for the things that they do every day. And so this is just another prime example of why we should give as much respect to first responders on an everyday basis. Because I tell you what, if this was anywhere else on a high school football field, he probably would have passed. But because of their quick action, I just want to give some props to that. But anyway, thoughts and prayers. So, college football. I think that these two games were phenomenal. I mean, very high scoring. As a Buckeyes fan, I'm a little bit hurt because, man, that was a completely botched field goal. But let's talk about this TCU-Michigan game first.
Yeah, man.
Ben, talk to me, buddy. Talk to me.
I'm telling you, if you're looking, that game had so much and there's so much to unpack. But in the most simplistic form, if you look at one stat as maybe the biggest reason Michigan lost, on third down, they were 3 for 13, which is atrocious. And then they were 0 for 2 on fourth down. So combined 3 for 15 on third and fourth down. And it was 3 times, I think, inside the 5-yard line that only resulted in 3 points. So they had so many opportunities, and give them credit. They made a comeback. They made it interesting. But the other number that kind of stood out, well, 2, and then I'll toss it to you guys. So I don't want to talk too much here. But Jim Harbaugh at Michigan is 1-6 in bowl games. I don't know what that means, but it's a stat. It's true. 1-6.
Oh, and just real quick. Oh, Ben, real quick. I just saw on ESPN that he's talked to the owner of the Panthers about their head coaching job.
Yep.
Just saying.
Oh, interesting. I didn't see that yet.
Yep. And TCU, give him credit, 263 yards rushing. 263. So very exciting game, but I'm if I don't have a dog in the fight, regardless of the sport, I'm rooting for the underdog. TCU is clearly the underdog. So it's a good story, and we'll see what they can do against Georgia.
Hey, man, Steven.
Well, similar to you, Ben, I did not have a dog in this fight. I was, for one, just happy that Alabama wasn't in it for once. But I always thought going into the CFP that Georgia was obviously the favorite. I was surprised that Michigan got knocked out because I thought if Michigan had a chance, this was their chance, and they didn't take advantage of it. And I thought Ohio State was lucky to even be there, so I didn't think there was any doubt of Georgia moving on. I'm sorry, but I'm saying this year I didn't think they necessarily had the right to be there, but they were. And so I'm not shocked that I'd be more shocked if Ohio State somehow had gotten through. I'm not shocked that TCU got through. I'm a little surprised that Michigan is not Michigan, Georgia right now.
Yeah, true. I'm going to give my hats off to Ohio State. I wasn't expecting them to win this game. I thought that they were going to lose by probably 10 points, but the fact that they competed and had a chance to win at the very last minute, I'm not going to be mad, and especially against the national champions who are literally on a 29-game winning streak. Just saying. So I'll give them some props for that. I'm going to say the thing about Michigan is that Michigan was not as good as people wanted to claim them to be. I really think the last two games, when you look at the game against Illinois, I think it was Illinois, they had to win on the last-second field goal. The quarterback play has definitely been suspect, and they necessarily haven't been since Hutchinson's left. Their pass rush has kind of been at the bottom half of the NCAA. And they beat Ohio State, yes, 45-23, but a lot of those scores was really because of Ohio State's inability to be able to tackle, and 3 of those touchdowns were wide open plays. So, I'm still going to give credit to Michigan for what they did, but TCU is a very underrated team and a team that I don't think that people were really giving a lot of credit. They're deep, they're fast, they're very strong. Ohio State, Georgia, I mean, what can you say? It was entertaining, it was thrilling, but I tell you what, Ryan Day is really going to have to work on that defense because the defense has been an issue for the last 2 seasons now.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a little off the cuff here, but like future projections, who do you think would be a better NFL quarterback, Stetson Benson or CJ Stroud?
No, CJ Stroud.
I agree.
Yeah, Benson. He's a walk-on for a reason. No disrespect to him. I love the story, but I think as we talk about Ben a lot, his pedigree matters. And he's 25-year-old, like 60. The man's he's 25 years old. So he's a man playing against boys. I mean, being 25 years old against the 18, 19-year-old, I think that kind of makes a difference. I'm just saying. But anyway, kind of fun. What are you going to say about it?
No, I was just going to say that OSU Georgia game, if we're going to shout out the quarterbacks, CJ Stroud for Ohio State, Stetson Bennett for Georgia, they combined for 7 touchdowns, only 1 interception, and almost 750 yards of passing.
What more could you ask for?
Like the quarterback stepped up and Georgia, made the comeback, and CJ Stroud led that last drive to potentially get him the win. So, I mean, nothing CJ Stroud could have done. Nothing. He played amazing.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt. So, as we're kind of college football playoffs, right? NFC South, which is a very quirky type of division. One of the team that wins that division is going to have a home playoff game. Oh, man. Steven, talk to me, man. I don't know what to say about this division.
Well, I mean,
to you first.
Yeah, that NFC South division is a nightmare. It's the worst division in football right now. So, yeah, the Bucs are going to go to the playoffs. And the thing about the playoffs is it's one game and you don't know what's going to happen. And I'm not saying it's going to happen this year because even as a Patriots fan who has loved Brady for years, this is not the same guy. He's not performing like that guy. But I also wouldn't bet against him is pulling off at least one upset, like making it to a second round. Like, what's that, Ben?
I was gonna say, as a Cowboys fan, that is likely the matchup, and I don't care what the Bucs season has been. I'm not anywhere confident Cowboys would win that game if that's the matchup. Not at all.
It's the playoffs and Tom Brady. Yes, this is the worst Tom Brady we've ever seen in his career, but weirder things have happened.
I mean, he's 45 years old. I mean, I'm going to cut Tom Brady a little bit of slack. I mean, he's 45 years old. Like, he wasn't going to be this great forever. And I give him 100% benefit of the doubt. He deserves it at this point. I mean, that Saints game convinces me that you keep a game close, or if the team makes mistakes, if you're going to play the Buccaneers, you're going to need to blow them out. That's what it's going to come down to. You don't want to be down. You don't want to go into the fourth quarter with only a 10-point lead with him. That's all I'm going to say. You need to dominate.
I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks are bounced the first round at all. I mean, honestly, that's what they deserve. They deserve to be bounced the first round. But
Yeah.
it's the playoffs and weird things happen.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of see how that all plays out. But Ben, and I just want to ask you guys something. How do you guys feel about this division winner having a home playoff game, even if they have a losing record? I have an issue with it. I guess winning a division matters, but I still think record should hold more weight versus a division title that really means absolutely nothing.
I think that there's it's definitely a loaded topic, and I think that we could definitely have a much further in-depth conversation on it at another point. So let's not talk about it now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I think that as much as I could be swayed, I think that a division winner getting a home playoff game, I think that it's just, I don't know. I get what you're saying about the record, but to me, you should be, I think, and I could be swayed, but to me, you win the division, you get a home playoff game. I don't think the system is broken. Like if something is broken, you fix it. I personally cannot say that is broken, but you guys go ahead.
Hold on, Steve, real quick. I'm not saying that it's broken. I just think that it needs to be revised. That's all I'm saying. But go ahead, Steve.
So I mean, the divisions are there. So like a division winner gets a seat in the playoffs. It's not extremely often that something like this happens, but if you want to go by best record in a conference, then why have divisions at all?
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is the way it is. It's the way it's been. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's weird.
Yeah.
Last time was the introduction to Marshawn Lynch. 7-9 Seahawks that beat the Saints.
13-3. Yeah. Was it no, they weren't 13-3. Anyway, I remember that did. Don't matter. But I mean, again, it's just something that kind of bothers me. I'm not saying that they need to do wholesale change, but I definitely think when they do their next CBA, just something to revisit. That's all. And if nothing changes, then it is what it is. The NFL is already a great product. But
yeah, real quick, I wasn't trying to put words in your mouth. I wasn't saying that you said it was broke. No, I wasn't. I'm just saying that I don't think it's completely broken, which is why I don't think. Anyways,
gotcha. Understood. No, you're poking holes. No, Steven, this type of disrespect I deal with all the time. But it's all good. It's all good, Ben. 12 years of knowing you. It's all good. It's all good. Hey, do I sound like a Rhode Islander? Hey, I think I can fit in. Anyway, and hey, got a smile on Steven D'Angelo's face. There we go. We got one. There we go. Anyway, let's do one takeaway from Week 17, and I just want to start with this one before Ben takes it away. Can I just say that Jalen Hurts is really right now with these two losses? That's my one takeaway. I mean, we talk about a real MVP. Jalen Hurts is vital to what that team does, both passing and as well as on the run. Gardner Minshew is a phenomenal backup, but there's a reason why he's a backup for a reason. Talk to me, guys.
Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, Gardner Minshew, against Dallas looked pretty good. Against the Saints, definitely did not. They clear, to your point, Jeff, for them to make a deep run and make the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts has to be there, and Jalen Hurts has to be at least probably 80% of what he was, which is one of the biggest unknowns of the next 2 to 3 weeks is when he does play, which is probably this weekend. But whenever it is, are there as many designed runs? Is he a little bit more cautious? Is he that's one of the biggest unknowns of January, because part of their success, not entirely, part of their success was the threat of him running, and not even the threat him actually running. Is this going to be something that he thinks about where they actually have to change how they call plays, or is it he sat out, his shoulder's 100%, he's all systems go? I don't know.
Yeah, Steve.
So not on the Eagles. I think they'll be just fine if and when we get a healthy Jalen Hurts again. But it does shake things up in that NFC East a little bit. Cowboys are right there and within reach for that number one seed or the bye. Um, a couple interesting things happened this week. It's odd how many teams still have a chance with going into the last week. I don't recall how often it's been like that. But like, so teams like the Packers still have a chance. The Patriots still have a chance. One thing I wanted to talk about, though, about Week 17 in general, was the rise and fall of the Rams. What a fall from grace! My goodness,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
But I would say this: the Lakers and the Rams would absolutely not do the last 2 or 3 years different because they resulted in a championship.
That's what matters.
What happens after that? Sure, you want to have a long reign. You want to have the Patriots run with Brady, but like they won a championship. I don't think if you ask those two teams if they would say, no, let's not do those trades. No, they won championships.
Right.
So
You do the trades for a championship every single time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of teams, though, in sports history that make these changes. I mean, hell, look at the Eagles years ago when Vince Young said Dream Team, right? When they got Nnamdi Asomugha and all those cats, and you're like, okay, they're going to make a run. They fall from grace. We'll probably have to do another fall from grace episode, Ben. Let's write a note for that. But it's,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I just wanted to say my kind of week 17 was, you tried to bury Rodgers and tried to bury Brady for so long. And look at them mofos. One's already in the playoffs. Rodgers, home game at Lambeau against the Lions. He's probably going to get into. It's kind of like, they've almost not risen from the dead, but it's like they're there, whether you want them to be or not. They're both probably going to be in the playoffs, and that's crazy to say. But the Packers, that 4-8, now potentially going to go on a 5-game winning streak to make the playoffs.
That Packers win was a huge upset. This was a Vikings team that was just, I mean, I would say rolling. They weren't rolling opponents, but they were rolling. A lot of their wins have been one-score wins. Like they haven't been steamrolling anyone, but they were winning a lot. And for the Packers of all teams in the NFC to come in and disappoint them, and the Packers have not been the Packers of the last decade with Aaron Rodgers, was in the fashion they did it, quite shocking. That game was never close.
Steve, let me ask you this question, and Ben, do we think that the Packers are a little bit more dangerous now because there's not as much expectations for them because of their slow start, them losing Devontae Adams? I think that when there's been expectations on them, they've kind of like just didn't meet it. But now they're kind of a scary team, I think, because there is no expectations really for them to do anything.
There might be some truth to that, but I felt this way for a while, and I think I'll continue to feel this way. Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest regular season quarterbacks ever. I will never believe in that guy as a quarterback in the playoffs.
Yeah, Ben.
He got one, but
yeah, the thing is, I know Brock Purdy, 7th round pick, last pick of the draft, but man, that 49ers team is loaded. And that is the likely opponent that the Packers would play in the first round. And I get what you're saying, Jeff, but and Rodgers, if you're saying, okay, who has more experience, Rodgers or Purdy? Obviously, it's Rodgers, but that 49ers roster is stacked. I mean, they took a nap for 3.5 quarters against Vegas and then pulled out the win. But I don't draw anything from that besides they got bored, didn't respect Jared Stidham as a quarterback, and it was a much closer game than it needed to be. But if they were playing the Vikings in round 1, Jeff, I would say, yeah, Packers are going to win a playoff game. But and it's interesting, but for some reason, the team that slighted him at draft day, the 49ers, Rodgers doesn't beat them like ever. Like they're like his kryptonite. Even when like I think, okay, like he's going to use it as vengeance. He's going to finally beat them. Doesn't do it. So if that's the matchup, no. I mean Brock Purdy, rookie quarterback, doing great, but frankly, it's not about the quarterback. The play caller, that roster, it's stacked.
No doubt. Steven, what's week one takeaway for you? Or not week 1, week 17.
Well, I was just going to reiterate what he was saying about the 49ers. I think if you were just a casual NFL fan, you wouldn't realize how well they were doing right now. I mean, they've had injuries. Garoppolo went down. They haven't really been the team people have been talking about this year. They have Purdy come in, and they just keep winning. They're right there, and it's pretty incredible. Like I was looking at some of their recent stat lines, and I was like, this team is just like sneaky. It's not the team that when you're thinking of the best teams this year that you're like, oh, this team has a chance. Like they haven't been the Eagles all year. Is what I'm saying. Where you're like, oh, Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, they're dangerous. Then you look at the stat lines, you're like
8 in a row, 4-4 to 12-4.
They've been incredible, and it's sneaky.
Tell you what, if my Broncos played, one of those 4 losses was to my Broncos. I'll just say that. But I'm sorry. It was 12-11, but I will still take some.
Oh God! Oh, I wish I had those 3 hours back. That was horrible. Oh my God! Man. The Sunday night football game. Punt, 3 and out. Punt.
But no, you gentlemen both hit it. I mean, the 49ers, and you just think that if they just had better quarterback play, imagine having a quarterback that can stretch the floor, or the field, rather, excuse me. Imagine if they had a guy and they had just even just an additional receiver with Debo is not even back yet. Like that's the thing that just makes this just so scary. And I would not be surprised if they come out the NFC because they're peaking at the right time. They're my favorite to come out the NFC right now. I have to say it. And it's not because of Brady, but they're just so well coached. If there's anything, and let me ask you guys one more question before we move on. Do we feel that this season that coaching has been more prevalent than anything, where it's shown like the importance of coaching and how coaching can change the trajectory of a team? Like, has this season really made it more obvious versus any of the past seasons?
I have an opinion on that. Yeah, I mean, like my team, for example, the Patriots, they didn't name a coaching staff all season, and look at where they are. So I have a pretty strong opinions on what coaching means. Yeah.
Hey, Steve, I got an idea. So it's a second-year quarterback. We want him to do well. This great idea. We're going to have a coach that's coached defense and a coach that's coached special teams combined between them 50 years. And you know what, guys? Yeah, you go call offense. Yeah, it's going to work. Don't worry.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's
come on. You're supposed to help your young quarterback. Help.
I don't understand what they're trying to accomplish there besides destroying a young quarterback's career.
Yeah. He's shot now. Mac Jones, he's not it. They're in New England.
He's not. Like they're going to destroy him before he goes to another team.
You know, he's going to remind me of a Josh Rosen.
He already had more success than Josh Rosen if he retired.
I'm just saying, like in the sense.
No, I know. I was just being devil's advocate. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Of course, Ben. You always want to play devil's advocate, but it's okay. It's okay. Ben DTS podcast. Check him out on Twitter. Anyway, any other thing to add, Mr. DeAngelos, before we move on?
I mean, not necessarily. I mean,
Okay. Gotcha. It's all good.
yeah,
It's all good. Just trying to make sure it's spreading love here.
nothing immediately coming to mind about coaching other than that.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's kind of start the far with you, man. On week 18, matchups are most important for playoffs. Which one that kind of comes to mind?
Ben, you want to start that off?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of already talked about it, but Aaron Rodgers got the love him or hate him. He got the spotlight. They got the last regular season game. We'll say we don't know what's happening with Bills Bengals, but as of now, last regular season game, Sunday Night Football. Rodgers and the Packers win, 5-game winning streak. They're in the playoffs. That's hard to ignore. It's going to be, you mentioned, Steve, the NFC East, and it's interesting because, like, Daboll, who in my opinion should be, Brian Daboll, coach of the Giants, should be coach of the year. That's out of all the playoff teams, definitely the worst roster. Not even close. But how, as a rookie head coach, is he going to handle Week 18 when their seed is number 6? Can't go up, can't go down. They're the number 6 seed. Are they going to try and play everyone and try and beat the Eagles? Because if you beat the Eagles, technically you're kind of doing the Cowboys a favor if the Cowboys win. So, like, what is the mindset of the Giants going into that game is just kind of interesting to me. And you never know with the rookie head coach how he's going to handle, the last game where seeding, isn't going to do anything. And if you ask the Eagles, they would not want to play Jalen Hurts, but they kind of have to because that 1 seed is important to them. So between those two, Giants, Eagles, just because there's kind of unknowns of Hurts coming back and how the Giants going to play that game. And then, as much as I don't like him, got to give him credit. Rodgers has been playing well, got the team on a run, and it's impossible to ignore that last game.
Yeah, man, no doubt. that Packers game, Packers are gonna be interesting. Just in the next couple of weeks, I think the Packers are going to be very interesting the next 6 months, even in the offseason. Just whatever's going to happen with Rodgers and that whole drama. Like I said, I think he's a diva. Mr. D'Angelo's.
Yeah, there's some interesting, like it's going into the last week, and there's seating situations. Like we could see the seating situations wildly and drastically shift, which is crazy for it being the last week. The NFC is, well, I'll start in the AFC because that's simpler. There's a lot of wild card spots. I'd bet against it actually. But the NFC, what I really wanted to get to, because that's much better. So many shift in seating, and then so the.
Not sure, you kind of broke it up there, Mr. You're kind of breaking up there, buddy.
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Let me see what happens here.
All right, now you're back. There we go.
All right. So, like a Giants win this week could shake up they've already clinched a playoff berth, but like them winning this week against, I believe they're playing the Cowboys, correct, Ben?
No, it's Giants versus Eagles.
That's correct. Eagles. Wrong division opponent. Yeah, them winning this week could launch the Cowboys into the number 1 of the NFC East.
Ask me if I want a home playoff game. No. No. Philly, do your job, win the division. I've seen enough home playoff game losses by the Cowboys. See if they lose on the road too.
Yeah, I believe even the Cardinals. So I'm sorry, the 49ers, if they beat the Cardinals, does some crazy things to the NFC. which that should be a win. But that just has crazy implications this year, and it's weird.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be some quite some. But I think for for me, right, like these Eagles, they were really peaking at the right time, and then for them to potentially be in the wild card situation is not something you want, especially with the type of start that you had. And I'm just really concerned about them. I would honestly say I kind of have it at a level of a 7 because you just don't know about Jalen Hurts, and he's not going to be 100% healthy in time when you're dealing with a shoulder injury. And I just think that with this type of style of play, one hit, he's out. And then what do? That completely changes your offense and what you can do and what has made you successful. So there's a lot riding with Jalen Hurts. I mean, he has a lot on his shoulders. He has the whole city of Philadelphia on his shoulders, I feel, right now, especially after the Phillies losing in the World Series. So, I mean, it's just, I don't know. Like, just question, gentlemen, just on a level of 1 to 10, what's your level of concern for the Eagles?
Like a 2. I'm not concerned at all. I think if they're smart, they will let Jalen Hurts recover and be good to go for the playoffs, regardless of what seed they land in, because the Eagles are good enough to should handle business in the playoffs in the NFC. I think it would be like preemptively trying to force him in to do something he's not comfortable with would be detrimental, and I think that would be a mistake. I think the Eagles are very good. As much as I would hate to support any team from Philadelphia, they are very good this year.
Yeah. I don't know, Jeff. You said 7. He said 2. I'll slice it down the middle and go 5. I think the Jalen Hurts is one of the biggest unknowns of the next, let's say, month or so. And I know I'm talking about Cowboys, fine, whatever, but Dak Prescott, I think, has the most on the line out of any quarterback on either side. Because you can talk about the injuries to the defense, but you got everybody on offense. So if you're the guy, I'm not going to sit here and say he is, but either you are going to prove this year you are Kirk Cousins or you're something better than Kirk Cousins because you got your whole offense is healthy. So if you're the guy, you got all your weapons. So I don't want to hear the excuses about the defense and the injuries. So I think Dak has the most on the line out of anybody.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see kind of how it we'll see how it all plays out. That's all we can say. Dak Prescott, you're watching you, buddy. Watching the show. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. Hope he is. You're watching.
Probably has better things to do. Watching game film.
Fantasy, kind of wrapping up here, gentlemen. Fantasy football. I'm out for the count. So, and Gary unfortunately is not here to rant on about his championship belt. But Ben, give me the floor first, sir. I know you're just eager to talk about fantasy football.
Yeah, me and Steve had quite the matchup, championship matchup, and luckily for us, we had no Bills or Bengals, so we know exactly who won. And luckily for me, at least, you can say it was me. Very close. It was interesting that Packers-Vikings game. I had A.J. Dillon and Lazard. And he had Jefferson and Hawkinson, and they all kind of stunk. There wasn't much going on, but we both had to, and it was such a blowout that under any normal circumstances, we would not be watching that game. But we were forced to keep watching that game to see if any of those 4 guys would do anything. It was close, and I thought that my choice of starting the Niners defense over the Jaguars was going to be my fatal flaw, and luckily it did not come back to bite me. But all you can ask for in a championship is a close matchup. Win or lose, as long as it's not a blowout, it's interesting. So Steve got the better of you this year. Next year, maybe it's payback. back to
Yeah,
me.
you sure did this year. I was a little sour about it for 2 days. I'm not gonna lie. I had a couple things that I was like questioning all week. Um, I think I was blinded by. This sounds weird. He's a kicker, so I'll just start with what went through my head this whole week. So my kicker, Matt Gay, had an incredible week 16. And I think I let that distract me from what I wanted to do was in picking up Dickens um, this week because I have a good feeling about him having that 20 something point game as a kicker and then being anything decent this week. That was my first gut instinct that I ignored. Another one was three bad weeks of DK. And I was like, you know what? Championship week, he's going to step up. I had picked up Isaiah Hodgins on waiver wires for the Giants. And up until 2 hours before kickoff, I was like, am I going to start Hodgins or am I going to start DK? I kept DK in my lineup, and that was a bad decision. And then my other one was, I mean, it was a very close matchup, like Ben said. I think he ended up winning by about 6 points. And Justin Jefferson did not show up. He
Well,
got
it's funny, Steve, is
shut down by Jair Alexander. And that, yeah.
championship week, you got to trust your gut, and we both made two bad decisions. My gut was to start the Jaguars defense, who outscored the Niners by like 15. Your gut was to start Hodgkins over Metcalf, and in both cases, we ignored our gut.
Mm-hmm.
Championship week, you go with your gut. That's the way to do it, and that's what I tell people. And then I didn't even listen to my own advice. But it was a good matchup. It was a good
It was
matchup.
a very good matchup. Yeah, and we were sitting there watching a blowout game, texting the whole time because we knew both of our championships were on the line in that game. It was not a good football game, but that's what fantasy does. Makes you glue yourself to the TV.
Hey, like fantasy, this fantasy football season has just been one of the most chaotic, semi-stressful, but a fun semi-stressful, and just so unpredictable. I mean, there's guys that are legit top 15, like Najee Harris, for instance. I thought he was probably one of the more safer bets that you can have as far as a first round running back.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know if he's even worth the top, even within your top 3 picks of next year, just because he was just so abysmal this season.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, well, for the first like 6 weeks, yes, he turned it on, and not like you drafted not a first round pick turned it on, but he started producing a lot more.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
No. What are you gonna say?
So I'm in like more than one league, and I have Najee in one of them. And there was weeks where I was like, I don't know if I want to start this guy. Like he was one of my. He might have. I don't remember. He might have been like my second round draft.
It was either your first or second. Yeah.
First or second round draft pick, and there was weeks I was like, I don't even know if I want to start this guy, which is crazy. But yeah, it's crazy how fast.
And tight ends, what happened?
Yeah, tight ends.
What happened?
Yeah, tight ends are. I don't.
When you said odd year, that's what my mind went to, because a really odd year.
Kyle Pitts. I had so much invested into Kyle Pitts this season, and I just looked at his. I don't want to fault him, man. Marcus Mariota at quarterback. That was just such a bad. I'm not even gonna fault him.
It's the coaching, man. You talked about coaching. Here's your best offensive player. Yeah, let's throw it to him twice a game.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
he's your best player. You find ways to get him the freaking ball. Like,
yeah, it don't make any sense. He's a matchup nightmare. He's going to win on one-on-one matchups probably 90% of the time. I don't know. It's bad coaching. But anyway, Mr. D'Angelos, appreciate you coming on, sir. Definitely. Ben, good seeing you. All good times. Just kind of go with this. Let's go with for Ian. Steve, you first. What is one prediction, player, coach, whatever, that we'll see in Week 18? Be anything.
One player or coach?
Yeah, prediction.
Team,
it could be anything.
anything.
It could be whatever.
Okay. I think Justin Jefferson returns to Justin Jefferson in Week 18. How's that?
All right, that's real. All right, I like that one. Ben?
I think although I think the Packers are going to win, and this is probably a dangerous statement, but now we're in 2023, but 2022, 2023, Jared Goff, I don't think he's going to be the reason the Lions lose. He's been playing really well. He's got a lot of weapons. Speaking of coaching, their play calling is very unique, very good. He's got weapons. I don't think Detroit's going to lose because of Goff.
Okay. All right. I mean, he's still the number one overall pick for a reason. I mean, it's not he just turns the ball over a lot. But I agree. I'm going to keep it to my Broncos. We're going to score more than 14 points. We're going to score more than 14 points. And we're actually...
Hey, Jeff, all you needed Russell Wilson to do is play the Chiefs every game.
Right?
It's the only way he played well. The only two games he played well against the Chiefs.
Oh my God. And we're gonna go 4-13 because we're gonna lose. Because that's what we do.
I'll say
better luck next year.
I'll say the Patriots lose to the Bills by 2 scores.
Okay.
That sounds like a safe bet.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Josh Allen has kind of owned you guys the last 3 times or so.
He sure has.
Right. Yeah. But all right, gentlemen. That's a wrap for tonight's episode 60. Stay tuned for more information on our 1-year anniversary special, which will be coming up next month. So going to be some exciting things. Ben, you and I got some planning to do. That's going to be fun. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, all social media platforms. Again, guys, take care. Peace.
Peace.